Do. What the fuck is that? So here I am in the basement on a somewhat mild January day. What the hell is this thing on my head? Sorry about that. God, I feel disgusting. I'll put the comments up when people start commenting. Hey, Schmack. Where the hell you been? Let me see if I can move this. Hi, Crystal. How's your mom? See, I pay attention, Crystal. And how are you? I know you were working out some health issues. I'm going to let a couple people get in the room and then I'll talk about some stuff. Oh, my shoulder's killing me. Getting old, folks. 60. I turned 60 this past October. Oh, God. Oh, God. Who's this? Ugh. I'm fixing somebody's problem while I'm here. Hi, Lisa. Alugalio. I fricked it up for the first time in a long time. Hello, Money Man. Oh, God. These people. That is not meant as any Holly is upstairs with the puppers, and I'm down here with some space heaters running. Although the temperature is red. Hey Google, what's the temperature? Currently in Egg Harbor Township, it's 45 degrees. 45. I think it's closer to 50 probably, but it's mild. Hi, Ronnie. Ronnie, I swear I'm packing your stuff up to ship it. By the way, when you get your SD card, Ronnie, that is going to be just copy it directly to your thumb drive because there's a different version of Frankenstein on there. It's not different. It's just size appropriate for the thumb drive, and it will just copy over your current copy of Frankenstein. So, because I made all the videos 4K, and we're at the limit for what the thumb drives store. So it's going to have to write over Frankenstein, which for some reason was gigantic. Hi, Nigel. My friend Eric also turned 60 in October. My God. We're all so old. My birthday's the 18th. So just to general discussion here. Crystal, what happened to you? I asked how you were doing and how your mother was doing, but I didn't hear back. Anyway, as you all know, well, first of all, The Pit is back. The first episode didn't disappoint. It's such a good show. It's on HBO Max. And also, as you know, Stranger Things wrapped up. And the excitement this past week, people are just ridiculous. Everybody was saying how there's going to be another episode, and the Duffer Brothers said no, but everybody was talking about all the clues and everything about why there was going to be a ninth episode and all this, and they were swearing by it, and there were people out there saying, mark my words, and I was following this because I knew there wasn't going to be a ninth episode. However, based on the excitement around that and all, the Duffer Brothers may want to consider making a Stranger Things movie. But everybody was just so ridiculous about it. All these comments that, mark my words, there's going to be a ninth episode Thursday at 8, and here's why, and here's why. It was like back when, none of these social media platforms existed at Y2K. Those of you that are old enough to remember that bullshit about how the world was coming to an end. And then it was this asteroid or meteor move. This was just the past couple months, actually last month, how it was an alien spaceship, and nothing happened with that. And there was another big one. Not too long ago, and everybody was posting how there's a guy that posts that about President Trump all the time. Mark my words, he's got 3 to 4 months to go. This guy's a nurse or something, but that's just, whether you like or hate the person, the fact of 2012 was another one. Hi, John. How these people were talking about how that was the Mayan calendar and when it ended, and that was going to mean the end of the world and all this stuff. And there was something else. Oh, this guy, though, who's always talking about how much time the president's got left. He's, and this is another thing. The symbols people are making in videos with their hands that are broadcast that are supposed to be different, not gang symbols, but represent things. Pizzagate was another one. All these things. It's just people are so full of shit. And they, none of this stuff really happened until, I want to say YouTube came into existence in 2005 and Facebook in like 2008. And then Instagram and TikTok, and Ronnie, you shouldn't say that, but I hear you. All these things that these people just can deliver instantly on social media. And now with AI and deepfake, they are making. I saw a video online the other day that showed Charlie Kirk and Jeffrey Epstein together, and and Charlie Kirk and his wife, And she's like, "What are you doing here?" And he runs away. Like, and it's insane how realistic it looks. And I'll tell you that this next year, they're either going to pass laws about using AI to make films and deep fakes. You know, I don't know if you know this, but Grok, um, X, Twitter, Grok had just disabled a function because people were basically creating child pornography with Grok. They were taking pictures of young actresses specifically and basically turning them into nudes. One that popped up was the young lady that played Holly in Stranger Things. They took a picture of her and said, put her in a bikini. And then you might have seen pop up the picture of Elon Musk in a bikini. People were just finding that Grok was so detailed and capable of giving you any photo you want that they started making um, pornography and child pornography. Now, watch, YouTube will be um, using their system to monitor my broadcast, or Facebook or X, whatever I'm on right now, and they'll wind up shutting me off. But it's crazy. The other one, you've probably seen these videos going around a lot of people walking through movie sets, and they're like holding up their phone, recording themselves, but they're walking through different movie sets. And then there are some that are just so bad, they don't even look like, the person doesn't look like who it's supposed to look like. But, and then they do a lot of these, this has been very popular, where they're doing a lot of these videos that show a person 20 years ago and then shows them today. They're pretty cool to watch, but like I saw one, they were talking about celebrities the past, you know, celebrity. They were just showing younger versions and then older. And in this one series of videos, it was the cast of MASH, and they showed like the guy that played, I think his name was Harry Morgan or Henry Morgan, played Colonel Potter, who's passed away. They show him at age 60, which I am now, and then they show him um, deceased. He comes walking in as an older version of himself with angel wings, and he sits down next to him, puts his arm around him. Well, one of the people they showed that was Loretta Swit, then and now, but they didn't list her as deceased. And I'll tell you one of the things, and not to feed into these conspiracy theories, but one of the things that's got me really going is this Rob Reiner thing, where his son, you know the story, his son killed him and his wife, Nick's mother, and the thing that's there's a couple things about that. Number one, apparently this kid was carrying on at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party, which was a horrible, that's right, everyone's type. You're talking way back. And Harry Morgan looked old back then. But so he brought his son to Conan O'Brien's party, and his son was making everyone uncomfortable. Why would you bring your kid who's got issues to that party? Now, it's alleged that they were concerned about him, which is why they brought him. But you know, it appears as if because of the issues this kid had, he should have been institutionalized a while ago. And now they're talking about how there's evidence that the new medication he's on for whatever he's got, might have made him do this, because he knows this is alleged. I mean, TMZ. It's alleged that he knows he killed his parents, but he doesn't understand why he's in jail. Now, Holly and I were talking about this morning. He had a high-powered lawyer who dropped out of the case this week or last week, and the comment was that the family is not paying for his legal fees. Now, he is going to be found not guilty by reason of insanity. And one of the things I thought is his parents didn't know he was going to, kill them until he killed them. Until right before he did it. So I'm sure he was in their will. So he's got to be getting money. He could probably get his own defense. But oh my God. These people are killing me here. And if the kid's mentally ill, which he's got to be, um, they might not want to pay for his legal defense. Of course, his brother and sister lost their mother and father also, but somebody sure as hell ought to be paying for his mental health care, and he needs to get straightened out. I don't know that he should ever walk free again, but I don't know. I just feel bad obviously, I feel bad for the parents, but I feel bad for like Conan O'Brien and what's his name? Bill Hader, because he walked up to him. I don't know. You're at a Christmas party one night, and the next day, three of the people here, two of them are dead at the hands of the third one. That's just, ugh. Like I said, I'm probably saying so many keywords, YouTube's going to ban my account. Because you always see these people making these comments where they're speaking about unalived. Or when a person unalives themselves. Because if they say the word for taking your own life, it apparently gets caught by a AI crawler and it bans them. So, what's going on in everyone else's life today? Hello, Cherie. So we got a lot coming to streaming this month. The Pit is back, like I told you. Shrinking on Apple TV is back. The new Schmack says it's 84 in Florida. Good for you. Just kidding. Um, the new Game of Thrones series is supposed to be coming this month. And the Game of Thrones House of Dragon is not coming back till maybe the summer. Same with Silo. But there's a lot of stuff coming back in January and February. But like I said, The Pit is one. Benign. When did I get a fucking K? You guys kill me with these sayings. You know, back, if you guys remember when I did, I was interviewed, this is way back in 2016. I was interviewed by the Bonfire. What the hell were their names? Big J. Okerson and Dan Souter. Dan Souter was in Billions, and they're both stand-up comics too. But they called me out of the blue and asked to interview me, and they were asking me questions about the movie and all, and they were making me quote lines. John's getting big surgery in February. Well, you'll have to let us know how that goes. I was one county away from. Are you from Cape May County? If I recall. See, all guys, all your names have changed that are on YouTube. Now, Stephanie changed hers back, but and you guys on Facebook and X were not affected. But on YouTube, for some reason, about a month or two ago, they changed all your names back to what might have been your original name. But like Schmack Dynamite, your name comes up as 2608. Schmack Dynamite 2608. Cherie Nichols 4561. I don't know why he did that, but Schmack, when you were in Villas, did you ever go to Geiss's Market? About 20 years ago, probably, I was hired to do a commercial for them. Back when people used to advertise heavily on Comcast, on like the cable stations. And it turns out Geiss's daughter um, is the Geiss, the lady Geiss, is the daughter of a guy that was of a family that owned like a deli store in where I grew up in Pleasantville called Balf Market. Balf's Market, BOLF. And these people that own Geiss's now, it's like this little corner store with a house above it. I think they probably live above it. But most people don't know this. They have their own smokehouse in the back. So when I was going in there to make a commercial, I thought I was going to walk into this house, like this building, this structure, but it's basically the size of a walk in freezer. And they just hang the meats in there and they smoke them. And they're deli. While I say it's a little like convenience store that sells like basics, they also, their deli in the back is huge. And by huge, I don't mean in size. I mean it's widely popular. Why so many people come in there, and they make their own sausage. Which, let me tell you, if you've ever seen sausage being made, I recommend. If you're ever offered the opportunity to watch sausage being made, I recommend you decline because it is horrific. Um, but it's good. And they made this sausage. They were called, I don't know. I don't think they were called grinders. That's something different. But they would mix cheese in with the sausage. And when it would cook, it looked so disgusting because the cheese would be like bubbling out. But they were so good. Nice people. And when I also used to do a lot of commercials for, when I used to do a lot of commercials for like restaurants. Oh, somebody donated. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate it, Lisa, your contribution. Um, back when I used to a lot of restaurants, like and diners would, first of all, New Jersey's the diner capital of the world. They have so many diners in this state, and the food just typically happens to be so good. And yeah, Mark Heimball, that's another story. I'll repeat it here in a minute. But the diners would all want to take, when I would go in there, they would prepare about, yes, it's a store in Villas. They're right next to CVS on that, I call it a back road, right past, if you go past the Cape May County Airport, um, the back end of it, and you drive straight, then turn right, Geis's is down on your left. But diners would love to make plates that they, you know, dinners, and they would put them around table, and you'd have to video each one of them or take a photograph. They'd want that to be a part of the commercial. And I used to try to encourage people to do a commercial that shows their location more than just shows a plate, because I say, you know, every diner makes this plate, but they all want to show their plates. And the best part about that was when we were done, they would have me take the food home. And my mother was still alive at that point and loved seafood. And they would send home like crab cakes and stuff. It was just, you know, and my cameramen that were working for me, I'd send them home with food, say, take what you want for your family. I just want these crab cakes. You take everything else. And I'm talking about they would make 10 or 12 dishes. So, yeah, the story about Mark Heimball was, this was years ago. And the company that back then, the computer I had for editing, like right now, you load all footage onto a computer and you can edit it. Back then, it wasn't so easy. You could do special effects on the computer, and the computer I had was an Amiga. It was what was the computers? They were, I'm thinking CompuServe, but that was like AOL and all. It was you have Windows, you have Macintosh, and for years you had, well, anyway, the it was this thing called a video toaster by New Tech. It was a card that went into the Amiga, and somebody think about the third type of computer there was. I can picture this keyboard in my head. Amiga was the name it became, um, but it was something with a C. I can't think of it. Anyway, this company sold them, and that's where we went and bought it from. And now Linux is an operating system. What the hell is it called? Hey Google, what's an old computer that began with a C?
Sorry, I don't understand.
All right, a lot of help you are. Let me try to Google it. Computer systems in the 90s. Photoshop was released. Look at that. Video toaster. Amiga personal computer systems. What was. Let me try that. What was Amiga computer before Amiga? Commodore. Commodore. Now, it was Commodore computers. I had to Google it because my mind wouldn't work. Um, but yeah, so this person that owned this computer store um, took me and my business partner, to this guy's house who was supposedly an expert with the Amiga and all. And while we were there, there was just some, not to go into a whole, I mean, the story could go on for an hour, but basically, in his house was a picture on the wall of a painting of meadows on fire, and like marshes, and that in itself wasn't strange. And the guy told a story about how he had a kid that he wasn't a boy he wasn't allowed to see because he was, I don't know if it was behind on child support or what, but he was not allowed to see him. His ex-wife wouldn't let him see him, and didn't think nothing about it. It's just like you're oversharing. Well, then it came to us afterwards. We went back there. There was also a spot on the floor that was fresh cement, and next to it was linoleum that was going to be put over this. It was like the floor was being redone. Didn't think nothing of it. So a little while later, we went back there, and he was gone. And it turns out he had moved to Las Vegas with this woman that ran this computer store. Still didn't think nothing of it. But then me and my business partner, Don, started putting pieces together. And where his child had lived in Cape May County, from where he lived in Egg Harbor Township, along the pathway, if you were to draw a line down the roads that went that way, Mark Heimball disappeared. The last time he was seen, he was watching a fire. The fire department was there putting out a fire in the marshes. Now, we saw a painting on the wall of marshes on fire in this guy's house. Mark Heimball was last seen looking at this fire of these marshes. And that's the last time he was seen. He disappeared. On the pathway on one of the roads you have to take to get from where this guy lived in Egg Harbor Township to where his child lived in Cape May County was those marshes. And his child, it turns out, was the same age, or about the same age, was a male about the same age as Mark Heimball. So suddenly, our minds start going crazy. Is it possible that this guy could have kidnapped this kid to have a replacement for his own child? And then he moved to thank you, Eric, I appreciate it. And then he moved to Las Vegas. He took the kid and took off to Las Vegas. So I really appreciate that, Eric. That's very generous. Thank you. And is it a possibility? They took off, and then we thought, oh my God, um, there is a cement pad that was new, and they were replacing the floor. Could it have been worse? Could somebody have been buried there? Our minds just went like crazy. So when there was a private detective hired to research this, we called him and we told him the story. And I was sorry I did after I did, because the guy seemed like a bit of a whack job, because he started telling us how valuable our information was and that there's a reward that we would be entitled to. You don't have a conversation like that ahead of time. You just say, okay, and then later, if something happens, something happens. But we never got called again. As far as we know, nobody looked into it. Maybe they did. I don't know. But it just was an awful lot of coincidences. And like how this guy just up and moved. Like, we were in his house. There was no boxes packed up, no nothing. Everything just looked like a house somebody was living in. And then, boom, gone. So that was my story about him. We happened to be schmack today down in Cape May County. Holly needed paper, and we could have gone to Staples or Walmart up here, but I decided to go down to the Walmart in Rio Grande. So we drove down there because they were open before Staples, and she found it at Walmart. And I went down there, and Holly, by the way, has a habit. If she's watching, I'm going to get in trouble here. Are you telling me to look that up? Let me look that up now. And I'll tell you. Is that really a name? Butkovich? Thomas Butt Cabbage. Oh. I really wish you didn't send me that. No, I see his pictures. It's been a lot of time, but I do know that guy wore glasses. He had long black hair like this guy. I really wish you didn't send that to me. So I'm telling a Holly story. I'm live. Well, I go into Walmart, and we wanted baking soda because the refrigerator stunk. So I go in there, and that's at one end of Walmart. Then I go to the other end to get Holly's paper. And then I check my messages, and she needed ricotta cheese from the other end. So I had to walk back. This place is like 800 square miles wide. But I always joke because at least this time I was in the store. Typically, she gets me, I walk out and I get in the car and we're driving somewhere, and she goes, next time you're in a store, I said, as compared to the store I was just in? How dare you? Oh my God. Now, see what you did to me? Schmack. Yes, that was Archer. Archer, come here. Come here. Come on up. Say hi to everybody. Hello, everybody. Look, Archer, there you are. Everybody reckon Holly just brought them down. Sable, of course, goes outside, does her business, runs upstairs with total disregard for me. Holly, come say hi. Holly! Don't be antisocial.
Hello.
Holly said hello, everyone. She's right over there. Put pants on if you're coming down here. Just kidding. She's got her pants on. Aunt Ronnie said hi. Oh, look, Ronnie, you can see from down here. Where is it? Look. Oh, damn it, you can't see. Hang on a second. Let me, Look who's there, Ronnie. Look who's there. Ronnie says hi, huh?
Hi, Ronnie. You want hot dogs, homemade pizza, or ravioli?
Whatever's easiest.
Don't do that.
Because we're going to have them the next few nights anyway. Do hot dogs. Well done.
Why don't I throw them into the fireplace?
You know, when I'm live, this is like family. And you have to humiliate.
I see that you do your live when I'm not around.
Hi, day actor. I haven't been doing lives down here. I decided to go on in the afternoon. I had some people contributed.
Very nice, thank you.
Because they love Bad Ben. Archer, I got your butt.
He's very, I don't know if he's like nervous or something, but he's like all over the place today.
Are you nervous about something? Come up here.
I can't figure out because he's been like climbing on me and then getting down.
Oh, he loves his daddy. He's got a thing now where he used to hop up in the chair with me and lay down. He'd lay there for a good hour or two down here when we watch TV at night. By the way, I was going over the pit shrinkage. Is that what it's called? Shrinking. The new Game of Thrones. What else am I missing that's coming back? Industry. Yes, that is Succession in England, basically. Oh, hello. A lot more nudity. Yes, even penises. It's disgusting. Hello. Not that the penises. Hey, stop. She's nuts. That was Sable, by the way.
Come on, let's go.
Hot dogs.
French fries.
French fries. Can you toast my bun?
I'll toast your buns.
You dirty girl.
I'll toast them.
Oh my God.
I'll toast them.
The filth that comes out of you. Ugh, you people have missed this, haven't you? That was Sable insane. Day actor says hi all. Hi, day actor. And Vanessa 2882 F7Y. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, some of you that are just coming in, but if you're on YouTube, they've changed your names like two months ago. So you might want to go check. Like Schmack Dynamite is 2608. Schmack Dynamite 2608. So. So yeah, that was the Schmack brought up an old memory about that Mark Heinball thing. And that's a shame. Absolute horrible for his mother. And I think the kid might have been autistic. And something else. I think that's something else similar. This guy's kid was. I don't know. I'd have to take it and look at that guy. I just can't get involved in that again. It was such an emotional roller coaster back then. But could you imagine if, I don't know, how many years ago that was? 25 maybe? 30? If all those years ago, what would 30 years have been? 1995? Yeah, probably before that. And that reminds me that locally, our Facebook page, I'm surprised nobody gets shot here because of how sassy people are to each other on the Facebook page. And this was somebody posted that we just moved to Pleasantville. They had been living in a motel for a while on, on not assisted living, but they were getting money, so they had a place to live. It was her boyfriend, and her daughter, which I'm not sure if was his daughter or not, but anyway, they lived there for a while and they finally got placed in an apartment. No judgment. But it's a different city adjacent to Egg Harbor Township and a different school system. So she made a post. Could somebody please help me? Our car is broke down, and I need to get my daughter from Pleasantville to the school in Egg Harbor Township. So I'm looking for somebody that can give her a ride. And people start freaking out on her saying, you're advertising, you have a 9-year-old daughter, just come pick her up and take her there. You'll be lucky if you ever see her again. People are really like, and there's some truth to that. But then she says, I never said I wasn't going with them. Well, she's not being totally truthful, because if she was talking about, she was saying, I can give you some money to take her. And somebody said, well, why don't you just get an Uber or something? And she says, oh, it's too much. Well, it happens to be like $5 to take an Uber from Egg Harbor Township. Like if I was taking Uber from where I lived to Pleasantville, it would probably be like $5. And every school that's in this system is closer to Pleasantville than I am. So the fact that she was saying Uber was too much, I mean, what was she going to give somebody? $3 to make the trip? And then she says, I never said I was going to send her alone. I was going to go with her. So now you're talking about somebody coming to Pleasantville to pick you up, take you to Egg Harbor Township with your daughter, and then take you back home. And that was going to be more than, what were you going to give them? $3 when Uber's $5? So anyway, it's just, people wind up in desperate situations. And it's just Facebook is not the place to advertise your situation. And it happens so often. And then people like want to bash a business. Now, I will bash a business on Twitter if they deserve it. I'll give you, for instance, some of you may remember this. Our Walmart in Egg Harbor Township, up where the sign is, it's blue background, Walmart in white letters, and the yellow, like, looks almost like a daisy in their logo. The background is blue, and the paint was peeling. And it was that way for a year. The paint was peeling. So I finally got sick of it. I took a picture of it and I tweeted to Walmart. This is your store at Egg Harbor Township. It's looked like this for a year or 6 months, a year. Say either fix it or get the fuck out of my town. Because it looked disgusting. It looked horrible. And they tweeted me back and said, please private message us. See you, Ronnie. Please private message us. And I said, no, I showed you everything you need to know. It's the Egg Harbor Township Walmart. This looks like shit for 6 months or a year. Fix it or get out. 5 days later, it was painted. The other case was Staples, which, by the way, the Staples, which was 3 miles from here, is now closed. I don't think the two things are related because the decision wasn't made as quickly, but this was back in like October, I want to say. And from buying, over the years, from buying ink and printers and stuff from Staples, I've spent tens of thousands of dollars in Staples, especially like, you know, before December, because I do the Blu-rays and, you know, I have to get ink and stuff like that. And I go in there to get ink and I'm standing in line. It's a Sunday. I'm standing in line to check out. And there's a woman in front of me. And over to the left is where the computers are. Like you could basically turn and talk to somebody without yelling. That's in the computers. Laptops mainly. And I see a kid and his father there. And they happen to both look, they're both Asian. This is relevant for one reason. It looked like the son was translating for the father. So the son comes walking up to the customer service desk where we're checking out. And as he comes walking up, this tall, thin guy with glasses there, probably in his maybe 30 years old, maybe 28, 25. As the kid comes walking up, this guy says, and he's standing there with a woman, the guy behind the counter. She's ringing people out. As the kid comes walking up, the guy behind the counter looks at him and says, I'm sorry, there's nobody from tech here today. I can't help you. Now, he doesn't even know what his question is. The laptops and all aren't sitting out there on the shelf that you pick up and buy. They're locked up in the back. There's a display out there that's locked down. So if you want a computer, you have to ask somebody and they unlock it. He might have been asking for that. He might have been asking a question that this guy didn't know. But the point I'm making is that this guy did not know what he was going to ask. And he just says to him, I can't help you. There's nobody from tech here today. And you saw the look on this kid's face of humiliation. And he walks back to his father and he's like I'm thinking, Dad came in to buy his son a computer. Now I might be reaching here, but comes in to buy his kid a computer, and this asshole behind the counter is just like, get away. So I get up to the register, and I don't know why at 60 years old I haven't learned my lesson to just shut up. I get up to the register and I say, you know, you could have asked him what he needed help with. And looks at me, this kid behind the counter looks at me and says, mind your business. I said, seriously? Now you're being that way to me? And then he says, um, I said, he obviously needed help with something. You don't know what it was. You could have asked him, but instead you said, the person that works there isn't here. Don't even try asking me a question. And then he says to the girl he's behind the counter with, he says, must be a Democrat. And I'm like, what a fucking asshole. And so I say to him, because you got to put your phone number in when you check out. And then they'll tell you your name. So, yeah. So I said, you see my name up there on the, I like reach over, you see my name down there on the screen, right? I said, remember that name. You're going to hear about that person again, meaning myself. So there was a time, I'm too old now, at 60, there was a time I would have ripped his ass across that cash register and beat his ass. And if I had to go to jail, so be it. But I'm too old for that shit now. And I leave. And they're probably laughing, thinking how they humiliated the old bald guy and all. And I get home and I Google who's the CEO of Staples. And then I email the customer support of Staples and I tell the story. And the person writes back to me, whoever writes back, with a boilerplate email. We're sorry this happened. We want to train our people right, blah, 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 blah. And just writes me back a boilerplate email to appease me. So I write back and I say, nice try. Do you have that document saved on your computer that you just cut and paste into an email and send? That's not a good enough answer. So I'm going to give you one more chance. And my next email is going to be to the CEO of Staples. And I put their name in there, the CEO of Staples. And the next email I get a couple hours later is from the office of the president of Staples. It wasn't the CEO, but it's from the office of the president. And this email, I could tell, was written, then sent, not cut and paste, written and sent. And the lady apologized. And she says, that shouldn't happen. I appreciate the fact that you were sticking up for somebody. So I wrote back and I said to her, look, I don't want somebody fired, but somebody needs a talking to, at least. I said, that's just inappropriate. I said, everything I buy in your store, I could buy online, but I try to support brick and mortar stores, which a lot of good that does. They closed last week. But, I try to support brick and mortar stores. And do you have security cameras everywhere? Do you have audio on the security camera above the customer service? Because I would like you to listen to it. And they didn't. They just have a camera. But I was trying to say to her, it's going to be my word against those two employees' words. And I guarantee it's going to be a different version than I told you. And I wanted them, before I went saying this happened, that happened, that happened, I wanted them to pull the tape, listen to it, and see that I was telling the truth. And she writes back, I believe you. She says, you have no reason to be making that up. And I hope you will. We will have a conversation with them, and we hope that you'll consider shopping in Staples again. And anyway, the next day I got an email from the manager of that store and apologizing to me and telling me he knows who the two individuals were and blah, blah, blah. And I said, I don't want somebody fired, but that was totally inappropriate. You know, people are so high strung today. What if I was a fucking maniac and just picked up a display and smacked that smart ass right in his head with it? So anyway, that was the end of that story because I never heard again. And then a month later, they advertised that effective January 6th, that store was closing. And it sold out of everything so fast, they actually closed on January 2nd. But yeah, and like like I say, when people act like assholes anymore and I'm out, I just tend to move on because people are nuts. They're pulling out guns. They're taking baseball bats and beating up people. They're stabbing. And I just don't want to take and give them a reason to be crazy. But yeah, I got Walmart repainted and I got the office of the president of Staples, and then they closed the store. I don't think it was because of me. But I just don't like when people are mean. And let's put it this way: the customer's not always right either. But anyway, I also had. Oh, and here's another thing. I really, I'm flattered when you folks from the United Kingdom or Canada want to buy stuff from me. Like, I had a couple people want to buy the Blu-rays from me for Christmas that were in the United Kingdom. And they said, you don't ship to the United Kingdom. And I said, no, because it's expensive and there's always an issue. So anyway, I'll pay the extra shipping. So for 2 customers, I shipped to the United Kingdom. One of them, and it cost $50. No, 30 extra bucks. One of them, no problem. The second one, I get an email the other day that it has never arrived. And when they tried to look it up in the system, it says that it is stuck in New Jersey still, like 5 weeks later. And so I write back, I say, this is precisely the reason why I don't ship to United Kingdom. And so I wrote back, oh, and I told him, but the fact is you haven't gotten your Blu-rays. So now the situation I'm in is I paid the $30 to ship it, and you paid $130 for the Blu-rays and the shipment. And now I'm going to have to refund your money because it's the right thing to do. And now I am out a set of Blu-rays and the money I spent for shipping. So give it a week. If you don't have it, I'll refund your money, but I'm not going to send you another set. Then he writes back, okay, that's fair. And I'm like, fair to who? I didn't write him that back because it's not his fault. But fair to who? You bugged the shit out of me to ship these to you, and I did, and you didn't get them. So now, anyway. That's the fact, Jack. So I'm going to hop offline here now, folks. It's been nice chatting with you. I went on way longer than I expected to. Thank you for those of you that contributed, because, as you know, my productions are fan funded, and anything you can do to help me out at donate.badben.com helps get more Bad Ben made. So I appreciate you, and we'll talk again soon. See ya. Love you. Bye for now.